think on some deep level, there's a real understanding of it, because that is what has made us come to be in some ways, or
Yeah.
in some perspectives. It's like we are
Yeah.
made of these principles and
Mm.
forms when you get down to like the minutia of like how the building blocks of life seem to generate.
Yeah.
And so it's a part of who we are. So I think this intuitive connection to creating it is so special and powerful.
Mm.
I'm curious, when you're working, do you notice that like the work that you're creating like changes your state of mind in some ways, like your consciousness in some ways? Is there like a quality to like your internal landscape that maybe
Mm.
feels transformed or shifted through the years of making this kind of work?
That's a really, really good question. Because I mean, uh, it's hard to pinpoint those exact moments where they actually really transform you. But
Mhm.
I mean, I definitely believe that, because for me, this is a very it's a very powerful practice to
Mhm.
do these things, that they don't have any purpose when I am sitting there making them. So I think definitely some kind of, I mean, the flow state is definitely transformative.
Mhm.
Um, I think what do you call it? I think a lot of stuff in my life and why we are here, and I mean, all those existential questions, I really get those digested in a way
Mhm.
through the art making. So I think in that way, it's definitely the most transformative.
Wow. So it's getting you to, it's like when you're getting in these flow states, or you're getting in these deep states of
Yeah,
concentration, when you're
yeah,
in the middle of making, you just have these like insights, these epiphanies, or these like connections that come up, or like these questions that come up that you can contemplate like while you're making
yeah.
it. So it's almost like these sort of not only the forms that you're making, but the way you're going about it is unlocking things in your mind. And that's
Mm,
how I personally feel when I'm working in especially a deep state of concentration. I feel like floods of information seem to move through me at times, not all the time,
yeah.
but there are times when I just feel like almost like a gate has opened or a portal is open, and just insights or ideas or questions or connections have just all of a sudden revealed
Mm,
themselves in my consciousness like very clearly.
yeah.
And I find those moments to be incredibly healing and transformative, or affirming in deep ways, or
Yeah,
they kind of
because
instill curiosity.
yeah, I think on a deep level for me, it's also like this feeling of purpose in something that is has no purpose in a way. I
Right,
mean, yeah.
right, you can't eat those sculptures. They're not
No,
going to feed
exactly.
you.
I mean, but it just it feels somehow so rewarding in a very meaningful way.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Um,
have like this weird imagination, or like maybe this weird perspective on life, but I feel like on some level, like what's happening when you're creating work that quote unquote maybe has no practical purpose to
mm,
survival, in the
mm,
most like basic ways of like shelter and food and warmth and what have you.
yeah.
Like but it's I don't know, it's bolstering the spirit of the species in some ways. Like the point of living is maybe not just about survival, but it's about like connection and experience, and like
Yeah.
finding commonality between
Yeah.
all those aspects that share this experience, the animals and the
Yeah.
people, the whole environment. And so when you're working on, I feel like on some maybe spiritual plane or quantum level, like you're affecting this sort of total environment in some small
Mm,
amazing way, and that has a purpose that maybe is not tangible, that you can't see directly, but on
mm,
some level it's like, I don't know, it's supporting this journey of the human spirit in some
yeah.
ways. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like there's some kind of alchemical process happening when
Yeah.
people are really deeply committed to their creative work, and their heart is really open, their mind is open, and they're using it
Mm,
as a way to create more beauty in the world and more connection or more mystery. um, that there's something powerful there, and I don't know what it is, and I'm
mm,
fumbling over my words to kind of express it, because I think it's beyond what can be expressed, but it's an intuitive
yeah,
knowing. Like, I think that's what you're seemingly trying to communicate now, is there's just this feeling that there's this purpose here. there's
yeah,
there's
definitely.
something great happening here that I can't fully understand, and I
Yeah,
guess it's like
because
a feeling of alignment.
yeah, because at the same time, for me at least, it's deeply personal what I'm doing. I mean, I'm really dealing with a lot of stuff and digesting life in general and all the
Mm-hmm.
those things that happens in life. So in that way, I mean, from that perspective, it's so personal. I mean, I cannot untie it for myself, and this is something I really learned definitely through the last couple of years. In the beginning, I was like, I'm just making art for the world, and it has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I really saw, wow, this is one to one something that happens here. I'm
Yeah.
dealing with.
Yeah, it is. It's like, it's almost like your particular method for growing your own consciousness, for
Yeah.
becoming more and more expansive in your understanding of who you are and
Yeah.
what your relationship is in the world. And art is your particular medium for discovering that. There are other, and not everyone uses art to discover that. There are so many other ways to
Mm,
discover these components to our
yeah.
identity
Yeah.
that's beyond the surface of what we could see as identity,
Mm,
beyond our name and place and birth and personal story too. It's like the bigger story of life that we're connecting to. And I feel this
yeah.
way. Like, art seems for me to be a tool or a method for which I can sort of excavate all
Mm,
of sort of the blockages and the things that are keeping me from fully understanding who I am,
yeah.
and embodying that full expression. So when you're working, you're definitely processing a lot of personal
Yeah.
trauma, personal history, and all sorts of energies, I think, move through
Yeah.
you.
And I guess in that way, the personal also becomes the universal,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, all those feelings that I'm experiencing, I guess a lot of people are experiencing those as well.
Yeah.
And I guess that must be my channel in a way,
Mm-hmm.
to other people, why they find it interesting, and I mean,
Yeah,
wanting
these
to look at it and experiencing it.
exactly, because these are
Yeah.
almost artifacts of your own healing, your own
Mm,
exploration, your own personal journey. But like, even though it's an individuated expression, because no one can see the world through your eyes, no one can live the experiences you've had in
mm,
this life. It's only yours. But there is something universal about maybe
yeah.
some of the themes that you're
Yeah.
working with, certain themes or certain like components to emotional states or existential questioning. Like, I think
Yeah.
we all have that on some level. I think everyone on some level is seeking a deeper answer than maybe what they've been given so
Mm,
far, whether they know it or not. And I think art is a form of seeking, in a
mm,
lot of ways, like seeking out the
yeah.
truth of
Yeah.
who we are and how we can relate to this experience of our
Yeah.
life. It's very powerful. And I think the
Yeah.
geometry, in some ways, because it's a universal language, is, even though it's you're encoding these very personal energies into it, because I
Mm,
feel whatever's moving through your consciousness while you're painting is being imprinted in that work on some
mm,
level,
yeah.
on some particular level. Like, people are feeling that energy and resonance, and perhaps not for everybody, but maybe for one particular person,
Mm,
for each piece that
yeah.
you make, there's an unlocking that happens in their mind or body or their heart, that can be incredibly beneficial. And so for
Yeah.
me, I find that to be one of the purposes of art, is
Definitely.
this deep form of communication,
Yeah.
beyond
That's the aim.
language. Say what?
Yeah.
That's
That's
the
the
aim.
aim. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I think the only way to achieve that is to become more and more of a channel, become more
Yeah.
open to what's happening and letting it move through you, through the
Yeah.
work that you
Definitely.
do in your
Yeah.
studio. In terms of your process for going to the studio, are you very like, I mean, I see like the amount of work you're constantly producing. You're obviously very devoted and disciplined as an artist, which is why you're making such incredible work. I'm curious, like, yeah, no, it's amazing. It's inspiring. Like when I see you post a new work, I'm like, man, I got to get in the studio. Like I got to get
Yeah.
to work too. It inspires the heck out of me
Yeah.
to see artists like yourself really just
Mm.
going full on into what they do. Um, but I'm curious, like in terms of your own personal rituals or processes for entering the studio, for getting into the work, like what
Yeah.
does that look like for you on a
Mm.
daily basis or a weekly basis in
Yeah.
terms of your process as an artist?
So I don't think I have a specific ritual or anything like that. But I know that I have some sort of rhythm that I might not be too aware of. I mean,
Mm.
because for me it feels like this is daily life. so the thing that I noticed is that immediately when I go to my studio, I start working.
Mm.
I mean, I don't spend too much time drinking coffee or preparing in a way. I just dive right in.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of Concerning the Spiritual and Art. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stay in touch and in tune with all the amazing offerings that we're going to be bringing to this channel. Thanks again for all your support. Super grateful and yeah, excited to bring more content your way. Peace, y'all.